Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah. So I went out and got kind of my childhood favorites, things that I have not eaten in years, and I went ahead and I got Cocoa Puffs and Lucky Charms, and I have 3 different types of ice cream, my favorite, Baskin Robbins. And I have Seeds candy, I have cookies, I have just about everything that I could possibly want sugar-wise. But what's happening is a lot of those foods, as they go bad, are getting thrown out. And, I have a few other people living in the house that are eating things, but I really am waiting till I'm hungry to eat those things. But there's a lot of those things that I have that I haven't even opened.
mm-hmm.
I just have no interest, but I know that they're there if I really felt that I needed.
So here's something. Someone listening is going to say, well, she hasn't opened them yet. She hasn't tasted them. As soon as she eats them, she's going to freaking binge. So tell me, have you, tell me.
Well, I had the Seeds candy would be my vice every year at this time. And I definitely opened that. I definitely had a few pieces of that. I've had it for an entire month. And there was no desire to finish the whole box.
And I was just saying, was there any time where you had a piece and you stopped midway and put it down and said, oh, that's good enough?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, if I got a piece that wasn't really the kind that I like, I actually spit out food, not in a,
It just wasn't worth it. Wasn't worth it.
Yeah. I've done that with steak too, though.
Okay, so tell me, when you give yourself, so overall, you've been doing this for over a month. Before, describe how it would have been for you before.
Before, those foods, whether they tasted good or not, or even if I was feeling full, I would still continue to eat it. And very emotional eating, a lot of snacking throughout the day, grabbing a handful of this and that, and I definitely would turn to food for comfort.
Okay, so this holiday season, and would you say it was always worse during the holidays?
Was it worse?
Normally would your binging been worse during the holidays?
Yes, I think so, because there would be sort of that plan to either let myself go during the holiday, or I had already started a diet, and then it would be extremely difficult to deal with family functions and all the buffet of sweets during that time, because I'd be very focused on wanting to have those things and not being able to have it, and giving into it. And
okay, so this season you basically filled your house with those foods voluntarily and said, I can have them when I feel like it, and I will eat them when I'm hungry, and I will only eat enough till I'm satisfied, and I'm not going to feel bad. I'm not going to have shame or guilt, right?
Right.
And you found that your desire for those foods and reaction to eating those foods was significantly less.
Right.
No shame, no guilt when you eat them.
When I look at those foods, there's no difference anymore between a plate of salad with salmon, or the cookie, or the ice cream, the box of cereal. I just don't even see good food, bad food anymore.
And would you say that essentially you've left food religion? There is no longer moral with food.
Right. And early on when I was watching your videos, I picked up on that connection really quickly, because that was my experience of being very religious when I grew up. And the first time I heard it, it made a lot of sense. But then as I've gone through the process, I feel there's another layer of it, and that is really letting go of the diet culture in the same way that I let go of my religious beliefs that didn't serve me. And letting go of the whole thing, not just one part of it.
So would you say, in terms of health, that you are healthier now than you were on a diet?
Yeah, definitely. I feel more energy. Before, I was taking a lot of naps. 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I couldn't stay awake, and then I was staying awake all night, and really lacking energy, and I was constantly checking myself in the mirror and the reflection as I would go about my day, and all of that has stopped. I feel really good. For me, a big test is just there'd be a certain point in my weight gain that I would stop wanting to be photographed. And I'm at that same weight now, but I see a huge difference in how I look now because I'm smiling and I'm eager to be photographed with my children and, same weight, but, just a different attitude, a different feeling about myself.
Wouldn't you agree that that has done more for your health than weight loss has ever?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, a lot of people don't get that. They think that health is a physical thing. They don't see that health starts in the mind,
right?
In your perceptions, in your state of
I
consciousness.
really think that if anything, if I ever had any sort of depression, it was really linked to the dieting, and I didn't realize that before. When you don't feel good about yourself and how you look. And
I know.
Very focused about what other people think and, hiding away from people who see you at a smaller weight and,
So really, but those are all, don't you see, consequential of you feeling inadequate with yourself? If you feel inadequate within yourself, don't you agree that now you're prone to worry about what other people think too?
Right.
And to feel vulnerable and to feel like you're lacking and to feel like you're failing or to feel like you're just not good enough. But that all starts with you suck, you need to fix yourself. So what we really tended to is really looking at who you are without the physical condition, right? So if you had to stay fat and there wasn't an option, would you by choice continue to feel bad about yourself, or would you step up and move on? And, I just don't think a lot of people.
One of the first things I noticed when I was watching your videos and you talked about someone who is faced with losing their limb or some more serious condition that they can't control, that really hit home for me immediately.
Yeah, because don't you think it gives you a reference to really how bad you have it? Like, really, is the body fat you have, if this was permanent, if this was a car wreck, is this really something to be that? Oh,
I never realized how much of my day was taken up with those thoughts and picking up the next magazine, looking at the next video, what celebrities were doing with their diets, and just a lot of focus on how to fix the body.
And the belief behind fixing the body is that you will be a better person. You will have this as an accomplishment. Look at me before and after.
The one and only thing that I haven't really had success at. I can name a lot of things that I feel really good about, but that was the one thing that was, was out of my reach. It was very difficult. So I thought if I fixed that, then I would be, this perfect whole person.
And then the other part of the problem too is that what does that do? If you believe that if you have a thin body or you lose this fat or fix the body, if you believe that that's going to improve the rest of your life, consider what type of pressure that puts on the diet. Can you see where that's where the food issues began? That it's not necessarily the chemistry in the food, it's the chemistry in the beliefs and pressure about that food. Right? And so when you say, okay, I did what you said, I actually did this experimentally to see what happened. It's like, do you see that the impulses to eat those foods they're completely different when you remove the need to lose weight to prove yourself or to feel better about yourself or to improve your life, right? They're very different. The food does not have it's the same exact box of See's candies. They didn't change the high fructose corn syrup they put in it. It still has the sugar. It still has the chemicals. All of that food still has the same chemistry, doesn't it? So how then did it affect you differently this time? Is it you that changed in terms of your response?
Yeah, it's just hard to pinpoint what it is other than
it's not the food.
The body's acting normally. It was there all along, but I just didn't notice that that I had the guidance system. That the body has signals and can tell you.
Well, of course, yeah, and the thing is this, that's what we're using, right? But if you, honestly though, even if you were using the hunger scale still, tell me, if you had the same beliefs about needing to be thin to feel better, or the belief that having fat makes your life bad, honestly, do you feel like you could handle eating to hunger?
No.
I know, because it's not aggressive enough to fight those.
Letting go of the scale is huge. I thought about the fact that I thought that the diet that I did worked, and I could even point to a couple that I would have said before I started watching your videos. I would have said, well, this diet really worked for me, and if only I could have stuck to it, I would still have been able to maintain. But what I realized is that I never really just followed the diet. Once I was obsessed with the scale and the weight loss and started to see what I thought was success on the diet, I started to eat less and less food and manipulated the diet. So it wasn't really working. It was that, I was just eating very little. And then eventually I had to stop doing what I was doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's not realistic to starve for the rest of your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's psychologically not going to work.
I figured that out, that that's what was happening, that eventually I would get to the point where I couldn't do it anymore, and it didn't really make sense to me why.
Well, here's something else to think. Here's something else to think about too. Do you at all see that because you believed in this weight loss necessity, it was a necessity, right, for you, that the diet became the necessity, and that's how you justify starvation without noticing you're doing that. However, that because of that, when you felt a stress, that food became the obvious outlet to stress. That because you were depriving yourself of certain foods, that when you felt stress in your life, that those foods became the most obvious negotiation in terms of fixing stress.
Right. Because I would think, well, I don't want to end up in the hospital, so it's better to go ahead and eat and feel better as a quick fix than to let myself spiral down. So, but that's just me personally. I know not everybody has that experience of having, depression in their family and things that they witness. But for me, I did have that concern that if I let myself get down in bed and depressed, that it would become more of a serious issue.
Okay, so let me just make sure I understand this right. So you're saying you thought because you had family depression that you needed to eat to prevent things getting worse.
Right.
Okay, so
I thought that was a perfectly acceptable way to handle.
Okay, that was an excuse for you. So would you say that you used the idea of genetic depression to justify eating against the diet belief?
Right.
Wow. Did you hear that?
I haven't really thought of it before, but yes. I remember even a couple times years ago saying that, that I I felt that I was dealing with, that I didn't have a problem with depression because it's nothing that a good meal couldn't fix.
Would you have said that? Let's say if you never dieted, would food have been that to you, for you? I mean,
Probably not.
Thank you. That's what I thought. I was like, most people, it might have been alcohol, maybe. It might have been something different. But ultimately, whether it's alcohol, drugs, narcotics, whatever it is, weight loss, and food, because weight loss and food go tandem, that you were struggling with self-worth.
My early adulthood. I got all the way to my early adulthood before I started the different diets, not using food as medicine.
Yeah, it might have been cigarettes or something. But ultimately, the issue for you was finding a self-worth. Right? So once you have this, like, say, okay, it is separate from the body, independent from the way I look and my health and that function. If there's no control over the body, how do you define your worth, right? Once you did that, what happened to your depression? I know. That's the most amazing thing. So are you truly depressed, or were you living a depressed belief system?
Right. Yeah. I never realized how that feeling that I wasn't good enough, that I, didn't look right, that I had a few extra pounds, all of that was contributing to my stress level and those feelings of depression.
So how's it feel to be have a natural antidepressant, which is self-worth?
Yeah, it feels great.
You should feel like, holy crap, this is, and it's not, there's no, what's the word? It's not like you're taking a medication or having to restrict food or do something that is super conditional.
And I've been offered medication before, and I haven't done that, thank goodness.
Do you believe that maybe you didn't take the medication because on some level you knew that this wasn't a true physical problem?
I had some fear about what would happen if I tried it and I became worse and had side effects and things like that.
So you believe that this was something you could potentially naturally cure? And you did?
Definitely.
Oh my God, I'm so happy for you. So happy for you. So what would happen if you start to lose weight? Naturally, without trying?
That would be fine. In fact, I have. I don't check my weight often, but again, it's just sort of like, I'm just going to test this out and see, but I go into it thinking, no matter what happens, if I gained a few pounds or more, or I've lost, I'm not going to let that define me. It's not going to make me change the way I'm eating. It's not going to, take me off the path.
Yeah. So no matter what it is, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah. So that way you're detached from it. So if your body does burn its own fat, is it you that succeeded, or is it the body's success doing that?
It's just the body doing what it's supposed to do all along.
Yeah, I think so. And if you had gained body fat, you have to also separate yourself from that and say, you know what? I am staying within the boundaries of eating to hunger. I'm not overeating anything. And if that's what the body needs to do, so be it. Right? Because we could say too, during your next menstrual cycle, whatever weight you've lost might come back. And then it might go away again. And then it might come back. And
Well, I never knew until listening to you talk about your weight fluctuations that was even possible to be okay with an 8-pound variance throughout, because if I were dieting and I saw 8 pounds heavier, I would freak out. But
But when does the body get to just be a body? Is the body allowed to just be a body? You know, if I'm eating to its biological rhythms and I'm staying true to it and I'm being honest with myself, I'm not justifying or rationalizing or trying to make more lenience in that. If I'm just continuing to eat between that 3.5, 5.5 to 6 zone and my body gains weight, is there anything I could honestly do about that? Should I have starved myself? No, because obviously, right? I shouldn't have done that, because what is that going to eventually end up in? Me binging and then gaining more weight than necessary, right? Because of my own.
I've gained and lost so many times that I know that every time I try to diet, I always gain back more. And now I've been listening to you. I figured out it's been probably 8 months, and then I'd say maybe 6 months of really trying to implement some of the things I was seeing before we actually started talking in our session. But you know, I really feel like I've leveled off. I have no fear that I'm gaining at all
at this point.
But
you did take the risk.
Right.
You did say no matter what, I'd rather.
Well, actually, I did go through a weight gain during that period, I should say. When I made that decision that I was going to, you know, I had lost weight, and then I regained that, but I didn't go up and over this time. I just sort of leveled off. And yeah, it's okay. I really feel good. I feel strong. I feel healthy. Getting back to doing the activities that I love.
So tell me this, would you be willing to go on a diet to lose 10 pounds at this point?
No.
Why?
Not at all. Like I was saying before, I realized that the diets never worked.
Well, they don't ever work, but
diet, I would end up starving myself again.
Well, I want you to really put yourself there psychologically. Screw the physical if it works or not. How would you feel if I said to you, hey, we're going to remove all your bread and sugar for the next 30 days? How would that feel?
I don't think I could do that. I wouldn't want to do that. I feel so good.
So, because, I mean, this is what I'm trying to get you to see or to be able to be aware of, is because you don't have that pressure, you have this freedom to not think about it, not worry about it, not feel bad about it. Consider all of that freedom that you have now. Could you imagine if we started implementing, now it's going to go away? Tell me how that would feel. But one of the things you need to be ready for is the moment you think, oh, if I could lose 10 pounds, just 10 pounds. By reducing my sugar. Is that worth it?
I don't think it is.
I know, right? Because now you know there's a downside to that 10 pounds in lack of sugar, don't you?
Right.
What's the downside?
So much of my day back, I have been able to meet with people and be in front of people and have confidence and get things done that I wasn't able to the last couple of years. The feeling that I had to kind of hide away.
Yeah, wouldn't you rather keep that 10 pounds? I know. Right. I know. And it's like, and that's another thing. It's like, okay, well, let's talk about health. It brings us back to that health question. Shouldn't you want to lose that 10 pounds for your health? Think about that for a second. Doesn't that, I mean, would you say that by accepting the body without condition that you are by far healthier mentally, psychologically, emotionally, behaviorally, and physically by not trying to lose the 10 pounds?
I think so.
Well, you don't have depression.
Right.
That's what, I mean, consider how that affected you and your behavior. Right? And the depression based on the fact that because I'm not thin, I'm not valuable, people judge me, am seen as this and that, and I've lost, or that belief right there affected your behavior in such a way that it made your depression worse. Right? So in terms of health, by accepting the body you have right now, you are now given the freedom to love yourself and be kind to yourself, and there's grace and lenience with food, which ultimately reduces your chance of binging, which has reduced your body's inflammation. You no longer have the same amount of stress impact in your life, which again positively reinforces the fact that you don't need food to survive. And ultimately, your body has been given a chance to just heal itself without you trying. So in terms of
all the symptoms that I was having at this weight that I thought I needed to lose 50 pounds to get rid of, they've all gone away.
And do you see that it's not because of the body, it's because you no longer have the stress, the fight or flight stress, right, associated to needing to lose weight for approval.
Right. Definitely.
Same body fat, same weight you were with all those symptoms, but you no longer have the stress, right, of fixing the body to get rid of all these issues.
Right.
The issues go away as long as you say this body is good enough for me, and I no longer want to be driven and defined by fixing it.
Right.
And those issues go away. So where were those symptoms coming from? Would you say they were coming from the belief that the body was flawed, and then the stress over perfecting your food?
It's funny that I can describe one pain that I can think of that is directly related to the scale. You always talk about our pull to the earth. I have a lot of heel pain in one foot.
Mm-hmm.
And I really felt that, boy, if I could lose 50, 60 pounds, I could get rid of that. But, obviously it's all the weight causing it. But, in my mind, I guess if I was thinking that the weight was such a big issue, that I was actually very focused on my feet, and I felt heavier. I felt like I was 500 pounds, and I wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's a strange thing.
Do you think it was a form of trying to validate the belief? That was a way for you to excuse the insanity of the weight loss?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see now that losing weight was your addiction?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
That the addiction was the body image, that it wasn't the food. It wasn't even the dieting so much as it was the weight loss the dieting provided. So you can create issues where there are none because you believe that losing weight will provide that free euphoria that you believe will be there.
Right. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, most people don't make that connection. They just see that the food is addictive, not their dieting.
Because I had read the books about the sugar addiction, and some of the diets also I incorporated in the no sugar, even as recently as this year, thinking even if I felt that I was eating what people think you're supposed to eat, salads and the Mediterranean diet or whatever,
keto,
I always felt that if I stopped eating the sugar altogether, that was really going to make the difference.
Yeah, that would relieve your depression, that would make you feel better, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, when you think back, can you see that some of the information that's out there is extremely biased, short-sighted?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
In
a vacuum.
Don't realize if they really allow themselves to have those things, that it would become a non-issue.
Well, that only if they let go of body image. Can you see that? That people who cannot let go of the body image culture or belief, that they can't just not eat sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Or give themselves sugar. If they truly believe they need to lose weight to be a better person, to be healthy, right?
Right.
Can they give themselves freedom to eat sugar without binging?
Yeah, I guess not.
No. So you have to understand that when they think that they're addicted to sugar, that's because it's in a vacuum. They don't see that there's all this chaos that creates the impulse. They only know the impulse, right?
Right.
So if they don't change the chaos, just giving themselves freedom to eat sugar is going to create a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
So you have the freedom and you have the lack of impulse because you don't feel that you have to lose weight anymore.
Right.
You've let that go, even though we could justify the fact that you need to lose weight. We could sit here and go, you need to lose 50 pounds or whatever it is. We've decided that this is not going to change and you are good enough as is, correct? So there's no pressure to lose weight, even though we could say you could lose weight, right? So because you no longer even want to lose that weight, now you have this freedom with sugar and cookies that has no attachment and no context and no fear and no shame and no guilt and no failure. And now you have the freedom to eat it and you don't have those impulses.
Right.
When someone has not made that the body image disconnect, that's the actual addiction.
Mm-hmm.
When they haven't disconnected from the body image, they still have impulses to overeat. It's very hard.
Right.
Because they still believe that you need to lose the weight, which means they still believe in I can't eat it. It's bad. It's counterproductive. That's how they believe. Do you see that?
Right. Yeah.
So you're correct. It's like you give yourself this freedom and all of a sudden the impulses go away. But the only reason why you give yourself the freedom is because you don't believe that losing weight is worthy of anything anymore.
Right. And that's where the connection for me on the religion of letting go of all of it, not just one part of it.
You got it. You got it. Did you hear it? Do you get it? Is it connecting, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
The hardest part is the disconnect from the body image, because that is the euphoria, right? It's like when I say, could you never lose weight again? If you never could lose weight again, that first meeting, right, where we really go into imagine that this is it, you cannot lose weight, this is a disease, this was your car wreck, this is a permanent problem.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That right there is there is an essential part of acceptance in that if you cannot get there, you're going to continue to struggle until you do. Right? You have to completely separate the happiness in life and success in life and the value of life from the way you look. It cannot be an option whether you look like crap or you look amazing. It cannot be used as a benefit or a deficit.
Right.
That's where the depression was fixed for you. Right. And then you could say, because of that, I eat so much less, which is positively reinforcing everything. And it's not because I want to lose weight. It's just because I don't want to eat like that anymore. And I still have the freedom of that chocolate, which makes my impulses to eat it significantly less. I like to say it's like taking something that had so many woven parts, right? And it was all a tangled up mess. And we make one move and the whole thing opens and crumbles and is gone. Right? Because you could say before it was really difficult before. That this issue seemed heavy and burdensome for you, almost impossible. How do you get out of it, right?
Right. You know, I actually had a day where I was stuck. There was not a lot of food choices around. I was really hungry. It hit me really fast. And I was actually at a car wash and I had a meeting to get to, so I knew I couldn't stop in between. And there was, what looked really good to me was a bottle of Shirley Temple soda.
Shirley Temple's like what is that? That's like a...
It was a cane sugar, it's sort of like the 7-Up cherry flavor.
Got it, okay.
It was a bottle. It was an old-fashioned, very cute bottle, and that looked extremely good the way I was feeling. And then I got it to the counter, And there was all these candy bars, and I saw the Snickers bar, and that looked really good. I felt like, okay, I can't just drink this soda. I need something a little more substantial. So I got the soda. I got the Snickers. You know, I had a drink. I had about a half a candy bar. You know, it cut that insane feeling I was having. But later on, you know, because I ate that and really used it just for food that I needed in that moment, I did not feel like, okay, now I've blown it. The rest of the day, I'm just going to eat junk all day long. It just had no consequence whatsoever, no bad feelings that I did the wrong thing, that I should have gone somewhere else. I just really felt like this was as though this is the last food on earth. And I just needed to, you know, needed to eat.
Yeah, didn't you just ate enough for that hunger to go away, right?
Right.
So you probably didn't finish the soda, and you probably didn't finish the Snickers.
The rest of the day. You know, but that's what I mean about how I kind of tested this out. I didn't go out of my way to eat only candy bars and sweet drinks, but I found myself in that situation, and instead of just thinking, oh, I'm not going to eat, or I'm going to try to get something else, I just went ahead and had it.
Whereas before, you would have said, okay, if I'm going to ruin it, I might as well ruin it all the way. Let's get 3 of those bars. Let's get an extra large soda, right?
Right.
So did you notice?
When I had the sugar addiction, I would have thought, okay, this is it. Now I really screwed up, and I'm just gonna, forget this.
Well, and if you had the real sugar addiction, right, you would have had this insane impulse to just continue to shove it down your throat, even if it causes severe mutilation, right? Which is like, again, in a vacuum, if you were a mouse without a frontal cortex and any intelligence whatsoever, right? And now you know that there's how much logic would go into those binges before, your sugar addiction before. Oh my God, isn't it all logical? I know. I failed. This has ruined it. I've already had my sugar today. It was supposed to be a sugar-free day. And what are you going to do the rest of the day? Binge on sugar. Well, because you don't feel like you failed anything and you're not judging the soda and Snickers, where did you even finish it all?
No.
Right, so you didn't.
It was 10:30, so the other thing would have been, you cannot have Snickers and the Shirley Temple for breakfast. I mean, that is just
so bad. Oh my God. Right? Your health. Again, the health thing, right? Well, actually, the fact that you ate what sounded good to you, even if there wasn't a huge amount of nutrition, because you were hungry and you essentially did something very healthy. And because there was no shame and guilt, wouldn't you agree that it was, again, even further healthy?
Yeah, and I had no symptoms like I would have. I didn't get a headache because I did that. I didn't, get shaky. It just, I was feeling like that was really going to do it for me. If I go ahead and have this, I can go on and get to my meeting.
Did you notice that it changed, the flavor and the taste changed at one point to where it was almost gross?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
I would just say, though, that I just didn't think about it at all. I just ate what I needed to eat. I put it down as maybe a half a candy bar. And, and I just went about my day and just didn't give it another thought.
Did you eat the rest later, or what did you end up doing with the candy bar? Do you remember?
I don't.
That's awesome.
I probably
see, that's something I would have forgotten too. I would have been like, I don't know, it's probably still in my purse, but now it's got hair in it.
Yeah.
Some receipts stuck in a receipt stuck in it. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Well, I would have been thinking about that. If I were dieting, I would have had guilt over that for days after doing it.
Well, because you ruined it. Right? Remember, you're supposed to be trying to lose weight, and you can't lose weight if you eat a Snickers bar. So bad. Your blood glucose. Anyways. Oh my gosh. You got it. Oh, congratulations. Is this what you thought it would be when you were watching my videos? Is this what you thought it was going to be like?
I did have thoughts like, how is this going to be any different from any other diet or program that I've tried and then stopped doing and, completely went off the wagon. And it is different. I don't feel like this is something that you do and then you stop doing. It just seems very natural. It seems like it's the way I'm supposed to live, the way I should have lived all along. And there's nothing difficult about it that would make me just want to quit doing what I'm doing.
Would you say it's because this built in is rewarding? Mm-hmm. You're not doing this for an outcome. You're doing it because this is what it's rewarding for you while you're doing it.
Yeah. And it just feels like the way it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Hey, it's the way I've been living for 17 years. And I'm like, why would you go back?
Yeah. So, now that I understand the craziness of what I was doing, and now I feel perfectly normal and everything is falling into place for me, and I can think so much more clearly, and I'm getting things done that I was procrastinating about, and, I see how much better I feel, so there would be no reason to do anything else from here on out.
Let's pretend you go and you're gonna get married. Let's just say you're gonna elope with someone. Do you need to lose weight for your pictures in your wedding?
No.
I know, right? Can you see that comes with risks?
I definitely relate to that because a lot of the dieting, I've been a single woman for many years and wanted to be in a relationship and wanted to get married eventually, and that's a very good example of something that I have done in the past, of thinking that when I'm ready to date and meet someone, that I have to lose weight to be attractive. And and now I kind of understand from partner's perspective that if I had dieted to get down to a certain look, and then all of a sudden I start changing and gaining weight, I can kind of understand now.
Well, and are you trying to attract someone that only values the way you look, or are you trying to attract someone that values self-worth? Which one do you want?
Someone that values self-worth. And I never understood that. I just completely bought into the body image of that a woman needs to look a certain way.
Yeah, like your value comes from being attractive to someone. So someone has to be attracted to you physically for you to have worth.
Right.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Like that's a virtue.
Right.
It's just
so I would close myself off, and I would be whatever size I was, not completely content with it, but at least feel like, this is fine. I'm not going to get any attention at this rate, so, I'm good.
So you're closing yourself off from seeking relationships and basically living in a shell.
Right.
Because you're not thin and attractive. So you basically cut yourself off from finding love, right?
Yeah. Right. And now,
not that you need it, but
it's not just about meeting a man. It's just interacting with people in general.
Yeah, so it's very different.
Be out there, just be myself and connect with people, all people, not just for the ultimate relationship.
It's because you don't need that relationship. You're happy with yourself. So if the relationship happens, then great. However, right, you're not going to put yourself on hold.
Right.
So, oh my goodness, honey, you got out of a serious mental problem. Mm-hmm. Do you see that after the fact? When you look back and you see the rubble, whoa, good for you. Well, you were ready to leave. Would you say it was miserable? No.
It was, but I thought it was all normal. I didn't really see that there was any problem with the way
I know.
Living the life.
Do you see that now that there's a huge...
I thought it was very functional.
Do you see now, though, that there's a huge part of our culture that actually thinks that that's normal? It's not just you. It's masses of people.
Right.
They are in a state of depression, and they don't even know it.
Yeah, I think so.
So, wow. I mean, but yeah, we were talking about losing weight for a wedding dress. And my thing is this, or even a vacation. Let's say you meet someone and they're like, come with me to Mexico. And you're going to be in a bathing suit, okay? It's sunny and you're, right? Is there anything worth dieting?
No.
I totally agree.
What I think I would do now, and I'm not completely okay with it, but probably if I say I was going to go in a month and I knew I had to be in a bathing suit, I would probably go out and get the bathing suit now and start laying out and looking at myself in it and just getting comfortable with myself.
Because you're accepting what it is, right?
Right.
And ultimately...
I stopped wearing shorts. I used to be someone who always wore shorts. I'd stay in my 20s. Even if it was cold out, I'd have a jacket and I'd wear shorts. And then for years, I stopped wearing shorts. And in this last several months, I started wearing shorts again and just feeling how good it feels to have sun on my legs, And I guess that's kind of the next stage of this journey is just, feeling good, going out, wearing whatever I want, and, not worrying about what somebody else might think about it. Oh, you're turning 50, why are you dressing like a teenager? And that kind of thing. Just wear what's comfortable, allow myself to get some vitamin D and, enjoy myself.
How does it feel to be free? I know. I'm recording this, so it's like someone's watching this going, oh my God, I want that so bad.
Well, just, I am a businesswoman, and there's a tendency for people to say you should dress a certain way. Women should wear the cap suits or the skirt and blazer and, dress professionally. And, I can feel good dressed like that as well, but I don't anymore want someone to tell me how I should dress or how I should look. I've even been able to test that out with someone that wanted to go into business with me and said, you really should wear makeup. You really should be a little more refined. You need to do this and that. Or if you don't want to do that, you really need to have someone be the face of your business. And this was during the time that I had already started watching the videos. And before, I would have just melted and felt so bad about myself. And I was able to tell that person that you don't get to decide for me how I should look. I would like to go into business with you. We've got a lot in common, but it's not okay for you to tell me, that I need to have someone else present my business. I know that I'm on a journey of discovering my own style, and just being, this isn't everything I've said to this person, but just this is what I was thinking is that it's my business, not yours.
Yeah, and the problem too when you go into business with someone is now you need to represent their values, right? If if they're conditional around their values, they're going to impose that on you, right? And whether it's justified or not does, whatever. But ultimately, you have to be comfortable with yourself. And if they can't be comfortable with you, then maybe it's not going to work out.
Right. And it did work out just fine.
Good.
Just by me. I never would have been able to just communicate that right on the spot when it happened. It would have been something I would have taken back and thought about it, thought about it for 2 weeks. And
then felt pissed off and resentful and wore makeup every day.
Completely break down and not deal with this person, but I was able to see that that's opinions. This person has bought into that as well, and that's their own journey to figure out. But
and they were gracious enough with you to move past it.
Right.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And, basically just said, oh, okay.
All right. At least they know that you're going to give them immediate feedback, right? That's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right,
that's the biggest change for me.
I'm going to stop recording this. I feel like this is amazing content. Thank you so much for sharing this. Someone's going to hear this and they're going to be inspired. Right? Do you have anything to say to someone watching who might be sitting here going, how does she do it? Who is as miserable as you were, listening to these videos going, oh my God, I need help. What would you tell them?
I think just start somewhere, because it wasn't overnight for me either. It was a process. And it did start with letting go of what I thought was the ideal body image. And then just taking steps every day and not worrying about perfection at it, but just stay on a path. And things change as you go along. I feel like there's lots of different layers of this to learn. And just keep moving forward.
There's hope.
We'll get there.
Thank you so much.